Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. My name is Bobby, and today I want to talk about and review RogueJack21. The goal here is to give you guys an idea of what the game is, the good, the bad, and who I ultimately recommend this to. So let's go ahead and get started. Right off the bat, I think a lot of people will be trying to compare this to another extremely popular indie card game that came out last year or the year before called Balatro. And while this game does deal with a different form of gambling, Balatro is pretty much, 5-card Texas Hold'em, while this one is Blackjack. And you are doing some similar stuff, as in trying to, create the perfect deck, manipulate your cards. Overall, it's a pretty different game, though, yeah, it's going to be compared to it, like, no doubt about that. But I do have to say that this game surprised me. It is really good. So let's go ahead and start with the story, which doesn't really matter that much, but to give you guys some sort of backstory. It takes place in a city where everyone's a little shifty. Is a big gamblers group, and you play as a person named Jack, who has kind of been outcast. He has been shunned out of the society for some reason or another. Most likely he got backstabbed, and now he's coming back into the world, starting from the bottom up, getting to the top, and trying to take everyone down under a new alias. So that is your character. You are Jack. Now, the whole goal of the game is to go through 3 different acts in order to defeat the boss. Once you defeat the final boss, you are going to be unlocking new things for future runs. You are also going to be unlocking new ascensions. So let me give you an example and walk you through how a run typically works and how the gameplay works. So yeah, the gameplay is RogueJack21, Jack Black. You want to get 21, right? So if you have played games like Slay the Spire and stuff like that, it plays exactly like that particular loop. You start with picking your character. In this particular game, the character is going to be a certain deck. So just like in Balatro, you get different starting decks, which gives you like more money to start with. You start with this certain amount of cards, and then you go between different acts. Now each act, you start off with the battle, you complete the battle, and then you go through different nodes. The nodes are more battles, VIPs, elites, random events, and so on. So when you go and at the end of every act, there's a boss battle, right? So how a battle works is you go ahead and you start the game, and your opponent has HP, you have HP. You start by drawing 2 cards from your deck, and with this, you don't start off with a 52 card deck. You do start off with like maybe 12 or so different cards, maybe 12 to 20 cards, depending on your starting deck. And each of those cards, they're based off real playing cards. They're ace all the way to ace 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, jack, queen, king, etc. And then you go ahead and draw, and you try to hit 21. Basically, you draw, let's say you draw a 10 and a 5. You can go ahead and hit, double down, and stand. Just like it would be in a casino, your opponent draws 1 card, and then they draw another one that is hidden. So you have to decide whether or not you want to, play 21. So basically, you have to get as close to 21 as possible without going over and busting. The opponent usually stands on either 16 or 17, maybe more or less depending on how the game goes, right? But basically, you keep hitting, and then you keep accumulating those numbers until you hit, if you hit over 21, you bust, and you basically want to hit 21. So that is the basic goal here. Now, where the complete whole game shifts, that's basic 21. I'm teaching you how to play 21, is how you deal damage to your opponent. So when you win a hand, you are going to deal damage equal to the value of your card. So like I said, that example, let's say you had the 10 and a 5, and then you hit another 5, you hit 20 total. It's not necessarily a jackpot, a freaking blackjack, but you hit 20. You would do 20 damage to their HP. However, if you hit a specific sort of criteria, most likely a blackjack, you get to activate the effects of your cards. Now in this game, you have 4 different suits, of course. You have hearts, diamonds, spades, and clubs. So each of those do different things. For example, if you have spades, if you hit a blackjack with spade, you deal damage to your opponent equal to the value. So for that specific scenario, if you started with the black spade, you hit a blackjack, that spade does 10 plus the value of itself, 20, plus the other cards that you add, and then you deal more damage that way. If you win with a heart and you get blackjack, instead of dealing damage, you heal. So there's lots of different cool things that all of your deck can be comprised of, even though it's 4 suits. And as you play the game, you go through shops, you go through different events, you get new relics and stuff like that. You're going to be upgrading your deck, adding new cards in, adding different sort of variations to your cards. And this is where, you know, it really comes in, just like Balatro. For example, you can add in a crystal modifier to any one of your cards. It makes it so you can see if that card's coming up for the next on top of your deck. So when you hit, when you keep hitting, you get to see the top card of your deck's back. So if it's a red sort of modifier, you can see, oh, a red modifier is coming up. Then you can sneakily look at the rest of the cards that you still have. Remember, you don't have a complete, 52. You can count cards very easily in this game. You're like, okay, there's 3 cards left. A red card is coming up in my draw pile. I've only seen there's 1 red card left. I know it's a 3. Oh my God, I have an 18. I know it's 100% get, stuff like that. So you can really card count in this. And basically you're going to have to if you want to win. So, yes, everything is just acts like a roguelike. So once again, if you play Slay the Spire, you are gonna be very interested in this game because it's all about just making the most broken deck that you can. And I really like how they did the shop in this game. Every single node is an encounter. Once you finish each encounter, the shop, you have access to the shop between each one. You get coins, chips, by either defeating your opponent or stealing from them. There's a specific suit that you can just steal money from, which is awesome, and I really like that. One mechanic in the game is called luck, though. Like I said, with spades it's damage, with hearts it's healing, with the clubs and the other ones it's stealing money, it's and also obtaining luck. Now, as you can see in the footage on the very bottom there is a little dice, and then there's a little sort of teal or greenish bar that fills up from 0 to 100%. Every time you hit or you double down, that percent has a chance to give you the exact card that you need to hit a 21. But that only can work if you have a card left in your deck that can hit 21. For example, if you hit on a 16, you need a 5. If you look at the rest of the cards that you have left to draw, you don't have a 5, it won't hit, it won't give you that 21. But depending on how you play the game, the different sorts of cards you add, the different relics or whatever, you can keep getting that luck up and up and up and up. So there's different ways to play the game and different builds. You can have like a super heal deck where every time you hurt yourself, you steal from them, you do damage. You can just try to comprise your deck with the best cards for the best outcomes. For example, I try to make a deck where it's 10s, face cards, and ace, 10, face, ed, face. So almost every single card, 50-50, it's gonna do a blackjack without having to do luck. Or you can go super crazy low cards, or you can just add as much luck as you can, because remember, the luck only happens if you have that certain number. So you want to add so many different variations of card numbers in order to always try to hit that luck. And that's pretty much what you can do in this game. So I really like it because I'm gushing about the gameplay, right? Because it's exactly what I would, expect a sort of competitor to Balatro to be. Now, once again, Balatro, it's a little different because you're pretty much playing against, the pool of high score, while here you are playing against an opponent. That's all single player, of course, and when you play against an extremely increasing difficulty amount of opponents, you get to see their HP. Sometimes they have different sort of hit stands, hit thresholds, and then sometimes they even have different sort of relics, same relics that you can kind of get. So you can be like, okay, so you can hover over that, so you can see what happens if you use luck this turn, what happens if you push back, maybe they sort of get an ability, and then you can even see the top of their deck. Oh, something's coming up. And certain relics even let you see their whole deck, so you can count not only your deck, but you can start counting their decks. At the end of each act, you're going to be fighting a boss, and just like Balatro or Slay the Spire, they're tough, they have more HP, and they have different sorts of abilities, like, oh, this guy, if you win, however, you only win by +1 over them, they still push you out and they win, stuff like that, which is really nuts. So this game has a ton of replayability, first and foremost. I think the first couple of matches, it's going to be a little bit weird and hard to get into because you are trying to rewire your brain. For example, oh, I hit, there's a 13, I have a 14, do I hit, do I not hit? Usually in a 52 card deck, you would know exactly when you need to hit for the most part, blah, 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 blah. It's been figured out, you win 49% of the time, allegedly, right? But in this game, you have to, once again, you have to rewire your brain because you know exactly what is coming up in your draw pile, and you have that little sort of luck as well, and you are stacking the deck, you are adding new things. You know, maybe you want to keep hitting so you can get certain cards so you can heal, more stuff to steal from the opponent. So there is a crap ton of variables here. I think one thing that people might find off-putting is just how bland it can be. It's just cards draw, activate the ability, blah, 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 blah. It looks like a lot of stuff is happening automatically, and it is. But if Balatro has taught us one thing, it's people will sort of be patient if the game is good enough, and they're going to like this sort of thing. So I think if you really like Balatro, it's a little bit of a close sort of sibling of a game in the terms of, hey, you are exactly messing with the deck like you would in Balatro, except you're fighting against an opponent that fights back, and that's pretty much it. I do really like how, you know, Balatro, it's basically just like what, 5 encounters, and in between you get to just choose a challenge or something. This one's a lot more varied, especially, you know, they have those special events. They have the shop every single turn. Well, Balatro does too, but like this has like, you know, events every single turn. You can also really customize your deck more. So it's like Balatro plus the Inspired combined. Like that's the best way that I really think that, you know, you can easily sort of explain this to somebody, right? So yeah, I said that this game, once again, it takes a little bit to get into the UI, the autonomous nature of it, and once you rewire your brain to figure out, yes, this is Blackjack, but you stack the deck up, it's gonna click, and you're gonna go through this really quick, really fast. It's very easy at the start, but as you play the game, you're gonna be completing challenges. For example, win a fight without taking damage, win a whole hand without winning a blackjack. You know, that's win a whole game without blackjacking, etc. So you have contracts, which is kind of like this game's challenges / achievements. Once you finish one of those, you click on complete, and then you're going to be getting sort of special golden chips. Those golden chips is really going to help with the replayability of the game. They stack up, and they're permanent currency that, you know, go outside of runs. You unlock new decks, which give you like, oh, you know, the starting one, the very basic starting one is this one starts you with more money. You get other ones that say, hey, you start with more luck every single turn, that sort of thing. So new decks, and then also after you play a run and you win, you get to unlock more difficulties. For example, from difficulty 1 to difficulty 2, makes it so you can't see the top sleeve of the deck, which is an extremely powerful card counting tool. But so that thing's going to be gone, and then as you play and win more, Ascension goes to 3, 4, 5, and it just keeps adding and adding and adding, which makes it really tough. So in the first Ascension and second Ascension, it gets really easy, and then boom, it's going to ramp up a lot. But with all those extra chips, like I said, you unlock new decks, you unlock new relic types, which is going to be the things that you can, you know, stack on your character for lots of passive effects, and you can unlock new tickets. I didn't talk about tickets, but they're basically pretty adjacent to relics. Well, relics, you're going to be increasing your trinket slots. Relics are trinket slots in this game. You're going to be combining them together and activating them. They're more active than not. And then those sort of tickets that you get, those things are really passive, and they pretty much just positively affect you throughout the whole run and go from there. So this game's good. Just give it a couple of tries if you like Balatro, you like the Aspire, but you can't get into it. Trust me, you know, Blackjack, it seems pretty simple, but then once you start to get a deck that works, it's really easy to win runs. And dare I say, I think the luck mechanic is really broken in this game. As long as you can make as long as you get to the mid to late game, as long as you've gotten so much sort of luck generation and you vary your deck with lots of numbers, you're easily going to win there. However, once again, once you get to more different sort of ascension difficulties, it's going to make it more difficult to do so. Then you're going to have to vary your strategies there. But I think it's going to get super easy just towards the first couple of runs if you play. And just like in Balatro, you want to grab every single deck, and you might want to win Ascension 1 through 6 with this deck, with that deck, with that deck, unlock new relics, unlock new thingies. And this is cool because this game is not coming in early access, I believe. Let me quickly check the page. Yeah, it's not going to be in early access. That's good. It's a straight out ready to go game. And honestly, I think this has potential to really be high up there. I don't think it's definitely not going to break through the roof like Balatro, but this is going to be a well-received game for those who try it. I think the quality of life is there. the sort of, you know, Balatro adjacent gameplays there. But yeah, I hate saying this again and again, but it really is Slay the Spire plus Balatro. So if you guys are interested, check it out. I have a no commentary gameplay that I recorded. There's a link down below. It's on the Let's Play channel, and I might end up streaming it, but right now I just did a quick you know, just so I can record some footage. I did some runs there so you guys can see just how crazy it can get. So yeah, guys, check it out. RogueJack21, the good one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.